Muhtar, in today's podcast, let's talk about our accelerated Java developer program.
Sounds good.
So, you are one of the instructors and developer of this program. And who is this program for?
Well, this program could be for college graduates or could be for QAs, data analysts, or anyone that get involved with programming, someone who has intermediate level programming knowledge. For example, if you just graduated from college with a computer science degree, right, that means you qualified for this program. And if you are someone who has been working as a QA or QE, or even if you have worked as a manual tester, but you do now some coding, then yes, this is the right program for you.
Just want to clarify.
Mhm.
So, people with zero coding experience, this program is not for those people, right? You have certain technical prerequisites for this program.
That's right. We have prerequisite. The prerequisite is intermediate level programming knowledge.
Does that matter if it's Java versus C Sharp or Python? Any JavaScript, any coding languages, specific coding languages required?
It doesn't matter actually. As long as the programming language that you know is object oriented programming language and you do know the pure programming concepts such as variables, loops, if statements, and arrays, OOP principles, the four OOP principles, then that's good enough. And plus, when you join the program, the first module will be Java recap module. So we have like close to 300 short videos that we provide you to refresh your Java knowledge so that you can get started with the other developer classes.
Great.
Mhm.
So, for just if people are curious, is this program self-paced program or it's live?
Yes, it's 100% self-paced program.
So I can study anytime when I have time.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's very flexible.
Mhm.
So in software development, there's a front-end developer, back-end developer, full-stack developer. And in your case, you guys have developed back-end development with Java.
Mhm.
What was the reason for that? Why you're not teaching front-end or full-stack?
Good question. So front end development, it does not require much skills, honestly, compared to back end development. And also the front end development, the competition is very high when you go into the market because lots of people, since front end development is easier to learn, lots of people want to go for front end development, and the jobs of front end development are relatively less compared to the back end development. Okay, and to become a front end developer, yes, maybe 2 3 months of content that you learn can help you to become front end developer. You basically learn web designing, JavaScript, some of those languages, and then you can become front end developer. Yes, but to become a back end developer, you have to put lots of work into it, lots of tools like programming language deployment tool and Spring Boot framework, all those things that you have to learn in details. So it's gonna take a little longer. However, when you get into the job market, there are more back-end developer jobs than the front-end developer jobs usually.
I always have this analogy. Imagine you're building a car, like
Yes,
Porsche, very nice car, and building the exterior is like a front end,
exactly.
painting, color, stuff like that,
Mhm.
doors, handles, you open, you close. That is not majority of the employment coming from, where it's not that technical. What is important is the mechanical part, especially the engine and transmission part.
Interior parts.
So I assume that though it's going to be a little bit more difficult to build engine,
Mhm.
that is why there's less companies, less competition in that area because
Yes, less competition.
it's
I
way
agree.
more technical, way more complicated, and you're solving way bigger problem. Therefore, there's a lots of jobs and there's less demand because not very a lot of people knows how to build.
Yes.
So I would say even in software development, front end is cool for people getting into tech, but few months of front end skills, you can get into it. Because of the technical barrier to entry is low,
Mhm.
because it's slightly easier, so you have lots of people because everybody wants to do easy stuff. Therefore, there's way more competition and the market would be a little more saturated for the front end,
Mhm.
where back end is because the technical barrier to entry is higher.
Mhm.
And most people, when it's difficult, they kind of choose the easier one. Therefore, if you master the difficult one, there's going to be less competition in the market because not
Yes.
everybody is jumping into it immediately. Is that the correct analogy?
Oh, that's absolutely correct. Yes, the front end is a lot more easier than the back end development, actually. Yes. Think about this. You just used the car analogy, right? So designing the front end, building front end, the exterior of the car is easier, or the interior, the engine, transmission, brake, all those parts,
Of course, I would say mechanical part.
mechanical part, right?
Yeah.
And which one has more jobs also? Probably the mechanical
Probably
parts, right?
mechanical part, even
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about these big applications,
Mhm.
Amazon, eBay, or any tech infrastructure.
Mhm.
It's not the front end that requires the most job or employment,
True.
it's the back end.
That's because backend is where the job gets done actually in the web applications.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So does that mean that we have this concept of full stack development, right? Oh, if
Mhm.
you ask front end, I can do front end. If you ask back end, I can do back end. Does that mean that you're not teaching front end in this program?
Well, we do include some front end classes as well, such as HTML, CSS, those structures. If you have some good concept of the front end development, you can also do a lot better in the back end development too. So, therefore, we also have one separate module where we will touch up some of the tools, language that are used in the front end development, but our main focus will still be the back end.
So though the main focus of the program is back end, you're still covering some of the front end knowledge so people can kind of be competent in the front end as well.
That's correct. I would say 90% of this program, the curriculum in this program is focused on the back end development, and the other 10% is for the front end development.
I'm not a developer myself, but I'm in tech. I'm just curious. I've seen people on their resume or LinkedIn, I'm full stack developer. I think it's genuinely it sounds cooler because versus only back end, only front end. Many people are like full stack. So is that really a thing? Like when you go to Chase Bank, for example, Bank of America, or you go to insurance company when you're building their application, do you do full stack development in those
No, you
jobs or you
don't.
focus in one area?
You don't. You only focus on one area, either the front end or the back end. So full stack nowadays, it actually means that you do not fully master the back end or the front end. Now, some of the front end part and some of the back end part to claim yourself to be the full stack. But in reality, when you join the company as a developer, you will work either on the front end part or the back end part mostly.
I assume unless you join a startup with three people, like
Yes.
CEO, CTO.
Then you will have to work on the both front end and
Okay.
back end
I
all
mean,
by yourself.
but since most job comes from institutional
Hmm.
companies, right? They're big companies, and
Yes.
I would say not only on back end
Hmm.
or front end, you will have focused responsibility. Even in the back end, you will probably focus on specific module, right? When you
Yes.
develop, so you're kind of subject matter expert in one area. Can you imagine that somebody's working in Amazon, like, oh, I'm full stack developer in Amazon. Seriously, you're building everything in Amazon from end to end, right?
No,
Or
not
people
possible.
probably you have a team for example, search is the biggest part of Amazon, right?
Mhm.
Probably there's a group of people working on search, working on checkout, working on Amazon Prime. So it's not like you do everything in those big companies. You're
Mhm.
probably going to focus on either front end or back end. In this case, there's more back end responsibility. I also have this concern. ChatGPT is the elephant in the room. After that, now we have DeepSeek from China, and you have this Devin, you have GitHub Copilot, you have Gemini. Their coding skills is pretty good. Why do you think people still have to bother to learn coding if big companies are employing
Mhm.
Gemini or GitHub Copilot to build their application? Isn't it waste of time to learn software development?
Great question. So all those AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, Llama, right, or the DeepSeek, your favorite AI
Yeah,
tool.
favorite. Everything
Yeah,
I ask, it's already in China in their database.
yeah. So regardless of which AI tool it is, those AI tools probably code better than most of the developers, maybe all of the developers, you know. But one thing that the AI cannot do is to develop the application for you. It may write the codes that you wanted, that you needed, but it cannot develop the application for you. To be able to develop the application, you still need your to have good understanding of the entire software development lifecycle. And you also need to have good understanding of how to deploy it and also good understanding of like how to connect it to the front end to the back end. So those knowledge you have to have in order to be able to develop the software applications. And the AI, treat this AI as an assistant that can give you whichever the source that you need. But you need to put those resources together to build the application yourself. And just because there's a tire, there's engine, there's this, etc., does that mean that the car is already built? No. So you may have this resource, right? But you still need your knowledge, you need your experience to be able to build the software, to build the product.
I would say problem solving, critical thinking,
Mhm.
and understanding the human nuances
Yes,
is something that AI cannot do. It really
exactly.
writes good code,
Hmm.
but it cannot solve problem for you.
Hmm.
But if you give the direction for solving problem, probably it's going to do the basic coding job much better. I also have this thinking, right? Sometimes I run scenarios in my mind. So let's assume somebody else's son is sick. CVS is open, there's lots of medicine. So the father has unlimited access to CVS, but the doctor is not there, pharmacist is not there. So does that mean that just because you have lots of access to medicine, you can just go there, start prescribing the medicine to your kid and start treating him or her? It doesn't, because you don't have the experience. If you are having fundamental experience of medicine and medical experience, then having unlimited access to pharmacy will give you opportunity to treat your kid. I think that's
Sure.
like something that I think about a lot. AI is not making you a doctor. If you're a
Exactly.
doctor and use AI, AI is making you a better doctor. If you're an accountant and you learn AI, AI is making you a better
Better.
accountant. But AI is not
Same with
replacing.
programming.
Yeah,
If you're a programmer and if you use AI, it can make you a better programmer. Yeah.
absolutely. AI is not replacing accountant, pharmacists, or I don't know, CEOs, strategists. AI is
Exactly.
amplifying everyone, but you have to have
True.
foundational knowledge.
Foundational knowledge is a must have, yes. You see, whenever I look at AI, all those AI tools, I just visualize the super calculator that we had back then. Just because you had the super calculator, does that mean that you need to stop learning mathematics? In the colleges, for example, where students are still learning math, algebra, right? If there's a calculator, why they are still learning those classes?
Let calculator do the job. So I don't know. No, I mean, obviously it's going to make people dumber,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I do believe this fundamental knowledge will give you a competitive advantage. If you're a developer, if you're QA, if you're just freshly graduated from school,
Mhm.
still have to learn the fundamental of software development.
Exactly.
Therefore, when you compete with those, only know how to prompt,
Mhm.
but you know the fundamentals, you're going to have better competitive advantage
True.
against those people, and the market is competition.
True, yes. So when you know the fundamentals of the math or algebra, for example, right, then you can use the calculator better compared to someone who does not know anything about algebra. So just like that, if you know the fundamental of software development and you can use this AI, which acts as a calculator, for example, right, to solve more tasks, more problems. So fundamentals is a must have, regardless of the AI can do your job or not. Yeah, fundamentals is a must have.
There's lots of predictions
Hmm.
about the future of AI and tech market. Honestly, I believe no one exactly know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
But when I look back in the history, for example, before engine and trains were invented, people were doing business with caravans,
With the
camels, donkeys,
caravans, yes.
from one city to another, right?
Uh-huh.
So when the engine is invented, did we stop doing business? No,
No,
business actually exploded. GDP
it
growth
accelerated,
internationally, right?
yes.
Now you can go to different countries, different states, different faraway places that you can never think about. Producing something from Bangladesh and selling to America or Malaysia or Australia, you can now export things all over the world.
Hmm.
I think this technology enable us to do more.
Yes.
Probably those camel breeders are gone, but the business is not gone, right?
Yeah.
When you think about even in software development, because of I believe we may not need like hundreds of developers for one project.
Hmm.
Probably there are going to be more projects, but per project you're going to be having less developers, but there's going to be there's unlimited amount of problems before because of the resources constraint, people were
Hmm.
not able to do it. Now companies can say, you know what? I have excess amount of people,
Hmm.
developers, their productivity is increased by 40%, 50% using generative AI tool. Does
Yes.
that mean I'm going to cut 60% of my employees?
Probably
No.
not. Yeah.
If you cut 60%, let's assume that you cut $100 million in cost or payroll. But companies don't make money by saving money. They make money by creating more value, solving more problem, coming up with more
Doing more
innovative. Yeah,
projects,
exactly. You can cut 100 million, but you can make billion. Which one is better? So companies will
making billion.
focus on creating smaller teams, solving more problems that we can never solve before because we just didn't have time to prioritize because you have constraint. I believe learning software development, like a backend development, and empowering yourself with AI as well. Obviously, everybody has to learn how to use AI better.
Mhm.
Now you're kind of turbocharged person. Maybe you have your own idea. Maybe you want to find a job. Whatever you want to do, it's going to give you a competitive advantage in the market that others won't have. Even you want to have a startup yourself.
I absolutely agree. Yes.
So can we get into the program details? Like how long is this program?
Sure. Well, since it's a complete self-paced program, it depends on you how fast you can graduate. So I would say about 4 months you can graduate if you can spend like up to 30 hours per week, 30 to 40 hours per week, then you can graduate, you can complete this program in 4 months. This program we divided into 7 modules in total. First module is Java recap module. So basically, if you need to recap the Java programming, we have like up to 300 videos. They are in high quality. We recorded them at our studio. So first module, you will basically recap the Java programming. And then after first module, then starting from second module, you will start to learn the Spring Boot basics. By the way, Spring Boot is a framework of Java programming language. It is used for developing the backend of the applications. Most popular programming language, they also have their own frameworks. For example, C Sharp has .NET, Python has Django, etc. That are used for the backend development. And the reason we're teaching you Spring Boot is because Java is the most popular programming language in backend development, and Spring Boot is, if you look at the lots of backend development jobs, most of them require Spring Boot. And Spring Boot, we will starting from second module. Of course, we cannot just cover the entire Spring Boot in one module. So starting from second module to fifth module, you will be learning all the details of Spring Boot framework, which includes Spring MVC, Spring Data, Spring Security, Spring REST, etc. Okay, so module 2 to module 5, you will only learn Spring Boot. And then in the module number 6, after you're done with the Spring Boot framework fundamentals, everything, then in the module 6, you will learn the deployment tools. So Spring Boot, it can help you to develop the applications, you can develop the robust application. And after you develop that application, in order to make sure that other people can access it, you need to deploy it, right? So after the Spring Boot is done, we will spend some time to teach you the deployment tools, which includes the Jenkins, AWS, Docker, etc. Whatever the application that you develop, you will be able to deploy them after that. Okay. And once you learn the deployment tools, etc., and then in the last module, which is one of the most challenging module, I would say, you're going to learn the microservices. So microservices, the reason we put them at the very last module is because in the microservices, there are some challenges, some complex parts that are involved. So in order to simplify it, let me just explain it this way. So after you create this robust application, let's say it's a very big sized application, okay? And to make sure that the application is scalable and it's also maintainable, you can make easy updates to the specific parts of the application, you need to know microservices. Microservices can help you to divide that one large application into smaller size, into independent services. That makes it easier for you to scale, easier for you to make update. When you want to update one parts of the application, it will ensure that it's not going to mess up the other parts. Okay. So for that, microservices we will teach you in the last module. So yeah, those are the 7 modules that you have in this program. If you spend 30 hours per week, yes, you can complete those 7 modules in 4 months. Again, let me just quickly go over one more time. First module, Java programming recap. And second, third, fourth, fifth, those 4 modules are for Spring Boot framework. And module number 6 is for deployment tools. And module number 7 is for microservices. Those are what we teach in this Java developer program.
So, on behalf of those working full time or busy parents, they want to learn backend development. I mean, 30 hours per week, it's a lot of commitment if I have a full time job and responsibility. So, if I cannot do 30 hours per week, how long can I graduate this program? Whether it's 10-hour, 5 hours a week, is that possible?
Absolutely, it's
Okay.
possible. So earlier I mentioned that if you the fastest that you can graduate is in 4 months, right? Because if you can dedicate full time, if you are a full time student, then you can graduate in 4 months. However, since this is a self paced program, it is not required for you to spend 30 hours per week, and there's no prerequisite requirement that you must graduate in 4 months. So let's say you are a full time worker and you have to work like 40 hours per week, right? Then maybe you will not be able to spend 40 hours or 30 hours into study per week. But maybe you can spend like 10 hours or 20 hours per week. So if you spend 10 hours, 20 hours, yes, it's still absolutely doable because all the videos that you will have in this program is in the bite size. And each bite-sized video, it covers specific topic. So if you can spend like, let's say 10 hours per week, then yes, you can definitely finish like certain amount of videos. Could be like, for example, 60 videos. In total during this program, you will have about 1,200 videos, up to 1,200 videos. If you can spend 10 hours to study per week, then yes, you could complete like 50 of those videos. And yes, if you only spend 10 hours per week, then you can expect yourself to graduate after 9 months or 10 months.
So is there, once I enroll to this program, is there any time limit? Yeah, am I going to have like 3 years access? Or am I going to have a year access or 9 months access? Like how long I'm getting access for the
Yes.
program?
So after you join this program, you will have 1 year access to our LMS. Our LMS is, we have our own LMS where we upload all the class materials, which includes the recordings, slides, presentation slides, class notes, codes, etc. So you will have access to our LMS for 1 year, starting from the day that you enrolled. And 1 year should definitely be enough for you to complete this entire program.
Okay.
Okay. Even if you spend 10 hours per week, you can definitely complete those 1200 videos in 9 months or 10 months, which means you still have a couple more months extra, right? And after 1 year, if you still want to keep your LMS access, no problem. That time you will only be charged for maintenance fee of $30 or $35 per month.
After
Uh,
12 months.
After 12 months, after 1 year, yes, if you still want to extend your access, that time you will be charged for the maintenance fee. Because that maintenance fee, it actually goes to the AWS, because
They're bloody
all the,
expensive.
yeah, all the video, everything, we are hosting it on the AWS and it's pretty expensive. We only charge that money to maintain the application. Yeah.
Now, I've seen programming boot camps that they're claiming that in 12 weeks that they can become full stack developers. That means that they have to learn front end and back end development, and they become full stack developer in 12 weeks. And your program that you design,
Mhm.
it looks like it requires way more commitment. You're talking about if you study 30 hours a week, it's going to take 4 months, but the reasonable schedule, it takes 1 year to become back-end developer. So can you tell me why that someone would choose your program where they can choose something in 12 weeks, they can become full stack developer versus you're only teaching like 90% back end and some front end versus your program, which is so long, way more, they need way more commitment than 12 weeks bootcamp. Why?
It's good that you brought this one up. I also saw that advertisement of some schools a couple months ago where they claim that they can teach you how to become full stack developer from zero to hero. So you see, in our zero to hero programs, the programming language itself sometimes we teach like 12 more than 12 weeks. Teaching the software development full stack in 12 weeks is not even in the discussion, honestly, because good things takes time and it's not something that you can just digest it right away and be able to implement it right away. You also need lots of hands-on practices, trainings. Maybe 12 weeks is just good enough for you to learn the concepts or fundamentals, but the actual implementation is definitely going to take a lot longer than that. So here at CYDEO, we do not just teach you fundamentals, concept, that's it. We also teach you practices, implementations, to learn the entire software development life cycle. Like if you want to learn both front end, back end, and also DevOps, all of them, it's going to take like a lot longer. There's no way that in 12 weeks you can become a full stack developer.
It can make you feel better.
Make you feel better,
You can
yes.
put it on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, I'm full stack developer now. But when you failed in the
Mhm.
interview, then you realize, oh, you know what? I'm applying for this hundreds of jobs and they're giving me a shot. They're asking me questions. Thought that I know, but I have no idea, right? So I think these 12 weeks kind of promises, it is very appealing for people who don't know from outside.
Sure.
If you say you're going to be successful in 12 weeks versus you're going to be successful in 6 months, most people, they want to be successful in 12 weeks, but how realistic is that? But they're going to find out when they go to market, it's not
True.
realistic. So one of the problem I see
And they
that,
will also find out when they started to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the problem I see is like it's also damaging the overall reputation of
Mhm.
these kind of programs. Therefore, I think in the long term, focusing on long-term outcome is going to give you better, result because good
Absolutely.
things take time. You want to learn the fundamentals, you want to practice, you want to build stuff,
Mhm.
and you have to internalize it. Going through the program, watching the videos, and just because you can talk about some fancy jargons, that doesn't mean you become a full stack developer. I think one of the things that we really focus on at CYDEO is really giving people realistic expectation. And probably I would say we're probably one of the most robust in terms of like technical outcome of
Mhm.
people. as well as giving a realistic expectation. We never said in 12 weeks you're going to become a full stack developer and start making $100,000 salary, which everybody should become a full stack developer, start making 100K today if that was the case, because
True.
most people, I believe, they want to work hard. But the only thing is they didn't know how to choose the realistic program for themselves.
Absolutely. I agree.
So the most important question, what is the tuition of this program?
The tuition of this program for non-alumni it is $3,500, $3,500. And for alumni, we provide alumni discount. So if you graduated from our, for example, STEP program or other long programs that we have, then you consider it as alumni, and you will get alumni discount if you enroll into this program.
So 3,500, can we also pay with monthly payment? Is that possible?
Yes, it's also possible.
Okay.
We have like multiple installments payment plan options available.
So how do I sign up for the program?
Well, to sign up for this program, first you need to go to our website, CYDEO.com, and under the program section, you should be able to find Accelerated Java Developer.
Okay.
And you select that program, and then there's a Register Now button. You click the Register Now. On the first page, it's going to ask you for your personal information, first name, last name, email address, phone number, etc. You fill out those. And if you are our alumni, pay attention, you must use the same email that you registered CYDEO with in order to get the alumni discount. Okay. And then after you click the next button, it's going to take you to the payment plan page where you can see different payment plan options that are available. We have upfront payment and we also have installments that are available based on your own preference. You can select one of those payment plans and then you can check out. You can check out with card or bank account. The only difference is when you check out with the card, there's a processing fee. But when you check out with your bank account, then there is no processing fee. It's pretty easy. You just complete those 3 steps. So your personal information you provide, and then you select the payment plan, and then check out. Then you will enroll into this program. After enrolling into this program, you will receive email to set up your LMS. If you never have used our CYDEO learning platform, then you will receive the email to set it up as a first time user. But if you are our alumni, new course will be added to your LMS. And we will also be invited to a Discord server. We are using separate Discord for this program as well. Okay. Yes. That's how you enroll into this program.
Okay, thank you so much, Mukhtar, for taking time to explain this program to our audience, and I hope to see them in our classroom.
Thank you. It was a great talk. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.